All right, as Chris mentioned before when he was bringing over this delicious carbonara, we are next going to move on to some brownies. So let's see how bacon and brownies go together.
Yes. Hi, I'm Chris Fenimore. I'm here with Joseph Ligo.
Nice to be here.
Joseph, you sent in a recipe, but you also sent in pictures and video, and I mean, this was the most imaginative submission I think we have ever had.
Well, it was something that I just had to prove to my friends it actually happened, that I actually did make bacon brownies. So I documented
All
the
the steps,
process.
yeah,
And
right.
I thought that you would enjoy the photos.
And you also said, you know, how you enjoy the programming, and so that you'd be watching our television shows with a nice big one of these brownies, and there was a picture of a brownie on a plate with a glass of milk, and I thought we have to find out how everybody can make these brownies. So the basis for these brownies is black beans. That's sort of the heart of this.
Yes.
So let's get started.
Black beans. I don't know if you've ever heard of black bean brownies. These are black bean bacon brownies, and what we're going to do is we're just going to throw these in with a little bit of maple syrup here. And maple and bacon go together great. And black bean brownies, the recipe calls for that because they make a really moist, fudgy, chewy kind of texture.
Yeah.
And I guess it kind of started out as like a healthy thing. You know, you have black beans in there. You use less flour. You know, you get all the good nutrition from
And there's
black
no
beans.
egg in this recipe.
Right, and there's no egg because the beans they're a binder as well. So anyway, so I just throw those in there with maple syrup. That's about a whole can of black beans, and that really, even though they're already soft from being in the can, that softens them up a little bit more. And you know, I think makes them when we puree them, it makes them grind up a little bit better.
Yeah, these are 2 cans of you know, the regular sized black beans that have been drained and rinsed, which I thought was an important thing.
Yeah, definitely, because you don't want there's going to be plenty of salt with the bacon, so you don't need the extra salt. And so what we're going to do here is take this bacon here, and if you'll just keep an eye on those for me, we're going to just chop this up into all kind of different sizes. I'm not particular, and I think you did a great job cooking this because you want it crunchy because being in with the batter and all that softens the bacon up a little bit. So you don't want this to be on the chewier side. You want it to be on the
crunchier side.
Crunchier side.
Now, do you do a lot of cooking, John?
I do. I'm out on my own now. I just graduated college about a year and a half ago. And one of the things I was looking forward to most about being on my own was being able to cook for myself. For me, there is entertainment value in that. So I find it relaxing, I find it entertaining, and I love experimenting, which is how I came up with black bean bacon brownies, as you can imagine. So, like I said, just kind of roughly chop this up here because about most of this is going to be going into the batter, so it doesn't have to look pretty. So.
And small pieces, big pieces, it's going to be all going to be fine.
Oh yeah. So the nice thing is the crunchier stuff gives you these little pieces here, and then the chewier pieces here, you get these longer strips.
Nice.
So anyways, we're just gonna do that all up there, and then the beans, like I said, just keep. The one thing is got to be careful about the beans not sticking to the bottom of the pot.
Right.
So that can make a big mess for later when you're cleaning up. So,
and this maple syrup is not pancake syrup. It's real maple syrup, right?
Right, exactly.
I thought that was an important ingredient.
I called for that because the kind of original recipe, kind of when I was coming up with this, was kind of like one of those vegan, like healthy brownies, and of course the bacon kind of negates that.
Wow.
But you know, maple syrup is a great sweetener to use. It's healthier than white sugar in a lot of respects, and it goes great with bacon. So it just works all together very well. So about this time, we can take the beans off the heat and throw them in the food processor because they serve as the basis for our batter.
Yeah, in your recipe, it actually says to let these cool a little bit before you do that.
I've done it both ways, and the advantage of letting them cool is that later we're going to stir in chocolate chips, and so
you don't
the
want
chips
the
all
chips
melt if they're too warm. But either way, you still get that great chocolate flavor. It's just whether you have the texture of chips in there or not.
Right. Okay. So now, let me just make sure I got everything
secured.
And I'll pour these in.
Away we go.
All right.
And I'll just grab All right.
And I think we did good. Nothing stuck to the bottom. Nothing was
No,
burned.
excellent, excellent. And so we'll just, I'll let you do the honors here.
Oh.
Blast those away to where we turn them into a pretty fine puree. Because you don't want any of the skins from the beans to be discernible when you're eating the brownies. So something along that texture is about right.
Okay.
And so what we'll do here.
So let me see. Oh, yeah, okay. So there's still a little texture to it, but it's just not...
Sure, sure. And once that's in with the flour and the cocoa and all the other goodies, you can't really tell when you're eating it.
Right. Do you want to add the flour while it's on here? Or?
Yeah, we can pulse the flour in. Me being a single guy, I like to have as few dishes as possible to clean when I'm done. So I love being able to we'll throw just the dry ingredients in here and blast those.
This is the cocoa powder?
Yes,
put in?
sir. And so we'll hit these. The one thing is that I did mention you can't really do the chocolate chips in the food processor because it'll smash them all up, and the texture of the chips is important. So and then we can just transfer this to the bowl here, where we'll stir in the stuff that we don't want to get beat up, which is the bacon and the chocolate chips.
Uh-huh.
And the recipe, when I devised it, I said it called for about 1 pound of bacon, but of course that's because anytime I'm making something with bacon, I invariably wind up eating at least a small percentage of my ingredients.
Yeah, right. Before it actually gets in the dish.
So I think, and one great way, if you're impatient about waiting for the beans to cool, is to cook the bacon after you've done the beans. So that was something I did when I was preparing it the first time, to make time for those beans to cool. Mm-hmm. So there we are, and we can just get that out of the way.
Okay.
And the great thing is about the recipe has no eggs, so you don't have to feel guilty about
tasting the batter.
Right, which is very helpful to be able to taste as you go along. So here's our delicious bacon, which just makes this a magical experience in here. So we're just going to fold that in.
I'm liking the way you think, Joe.
So, and I tried doing it with less bacon, and it really just isn't quite the same. The bacon, the texture of having that chewiness, that crunchiness in there, really adds a lot. And so another thing here, the original kind of plan when I developed this was, use butter or canola oil or something like that. And I thought, we're gonna have all this bacon fat lying around, and instead of throwing that out, we're just gonna put the bacon fat in the batter there to give you even more delicious bacon flavor. And one thing I noticed when I did that is the batter starts to shimmer a little, which is good because you think of like brownie batter, it does kind of have a sheen on it, which gives you kind of a nice coat. You get that crispy on top of the brownie look that you get. And so that helps, I think, with the color and the texture of the final product to have just a little bit of that sheen. So here, we're missing a little bit of our bacon.
No,
here.
don't miss any of that. Yeah, I'll scoop that up.
Yeah, if you would, please. And of course, we have some reserved here, and that's going to go on top.
Okay.
So, and of course, we can't forget to add our vanilla. I like a lot of vanilla in things. I feel like it adds an airy, light kind of flavor to stuff. And then a little bit of baking powder, since the beans are very dense. I like to have a lot of leavening in it to really help it
up a little bit.
Yeah. So you can smell that vanilla hits the beans there. That's good.
It's somewhat like another brownie recipe, except for the beans. But in other words, and the fact that it has no eggs.
Right. Yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier. The beans are a binder in a sort of way there, and so we'll get ready here to transfer to our baking dish. And the other thing about this is a small recipe. It doesn't make a whole lot, but I found that they're so incredibly rich that you don't need to have a 8-inch by 8-inch square for one person.
Yeah.
I was going to say,
you
this
want to
will
put
feed
your
a crowd.
chips in, even though they may. This is.
We'll put a few
little
chips
warm
in there, and then we'll save some for on top.
Oh, okay.
So we put some chips in there, and we'll save a few for on top. And so we mix those in there, and see, they're not melting too much, so that's good. And then we'll just transfer.
You have the oven preset?
Yes, 350 usually, give or take, and it kind of varies by your oven. It's one of those ones that the toothpick test isn't always a good judge because it's not a very sticky batter. So you just kind of keep an eye on it. I've said around 19 minutes is a good
Just around 19 or 18 minutes and 43 seconds, somewhere around there.
Right. Your cook time may vary. So there we are.
Recipes in this mirror may be larger than they appear in real life.
Yes. So we'll just
sprinkle some
on there just for some visual appeal. And same with our bacon bits here, because then that way nobody is fooled when you do this.
Yes. Oh, there was bacon in there.
I didn't know there was bacon, so that way this is your both a garnish and a warning sign. So I took these into work, and the reactions were a little mixed. You had people who were afraid to try them, but then the people who did try them said, "Wow, that was really something different."
Yeah.
And then you tell them about the beans, and they're like, "There are beans in there?" But the beans really give it a great, deep, fudgy, chewy kind of. Like I said, it's something you need a cold glass of milk with.
I got to tell you, I can't wait to taste these because we have a little practice batch, but nobody's touched it so far.
And then just a little bit. I know maple syrup's expensive, so I always feel guilty doing this when I'm at home. But just a little bit there.
Sort of glaze it over the top.
Yeah,
a little bit.
yeah, and then that helps. You get it sort of hardens when it bakes. It gets you just a little bit of that kind of like So I'm just going to tilt that around, and then there you have it. So.
Okay, so we're going to put this into a 350-degree oven for exactly 19 minutes.
Maybe a little longer because it is a little deeper in that pan than the pan I tend to use at home, which is so this is what your finished product looks like.
Let me get this out of the way.
And when you're done, you can always drizzle more maple syrup on it if you like. But like I said, here's your finished product. And I think we had we can just borrow this knife here. And like I said, you want to cut them into small pieces because
it's rich.
They're very, very rich.
Well, the piece in your photo was about 6 inches by 6 inches.
That was one for me.
It was like a personal pan pizza. It was this big.
The plate was small. It made the brownie look bigger.
Is that what it was?
But like I said, a cold glass of milk really helps with these because they are very rich. And the nice thing is you get more when you make them smaller like this. This is one of those things that I would call it. Excuse me. I would call it an impressipe. It's something you don't make on a Tuesday night for yourself. You take it to somebody's house that you want to impress. So, if there's a party coming up, there needs to be a section in your Rolodex there for impressipes. There's things you take to,
I'm going to steal that word.
So
I like that one.
So, and then of course here we'll pop a corner out. Would you prefer corners or do you prefer what? Some people like corners because they like the brownie crust.
No, I like this second one right here.
All righty. So
it has a fudgy consistency on the
right,
inside.
And that's the beans for you. So it makes it just very has that deep, moist, very moist brownie. It's a very moist and chewy brownie. Now you taste the bacon on top, but also in the batter, and those little chocolate chips have this great little crunch in there. Like I said, after you let the beans cool.
I don't even drink milk, and I feel like I should have some. Maybe some chocolate milk.
Oh man!
With these great black bean bacon maple brownies.
Lots of alliteration there.
Right.
And then since they're small pieces, you can call them bites. So it's maple bacon black bean brownie bites. And then you've really got a lot of bees.
So tell me, Joe, what field are you in? Public relations or do you write press releases?
I actually work in television.
Oh my goodness!
But I'm a behind the camera guy, so this is a little unusual for me. But I'm a producer editor, so I'm usually the guy with 4 monitors around him and looking at the different colors and saying, gotta edit this together for
Well,
stuff.
we're glad you came out on this side, Joe, and shared this recipe with us. this recipe and over 100 more, over 130 more terrific bacon recipes are in our brand new cookbook. And we're going to tell you how you can get that. But first, these are bacon bites. We have a bacon bit for you to take a look at.